Welcome back. You're watching The Game. Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat have stolen home court advantage to open up the Eastern Conference after taking down the Celtics. Now, joining us to talk about the final series in the East and the West is NBA hype host Mikey Reyes, Mr. Shoot First himself. How are you, brother?
NBA pa pag-uusapan natin.
NBA.
Cute nyo eh. Kinikilig ako sa inyo eh.
We're gonna talk about basketball now, not volleyball, right? So,
okay.
Let's just talk about the Eastern Conference Finals first. The matchup between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. First of all, how important is this that Miami got home court advantage right away in the Boston home court?
Well, it's big because first game pa lang, they already showed that they can win on the road, even in Boston. And they shut down the stars of Boston down the stretch, and they showed that they're, I don't want to say the more experienced team, but definitely today, they showed that they could establish themselves on both ends towards the end of that game.
And one guy who really stood out today is Jimmy Butler. I mean, he is him.
He is him.
He's been on fire, especially in the playoffs, Mikey. In that game one, he had 35 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. What did you see in his game?
What I've always expected of Jimmy Butler. I mean, I'm very public in saying that Jimmy Butler is that type of guy that you can really rely on, especially in big games. He is actually 8-2 with Miami in game ones. And that's whether it be home floor or away. He just knows how to really, a little bit of intimidation then if you get that first game, especially the way he played today. 35 points, he scored 40 8 times during the playoffs. He averaged 38 points against the Bucks. So these are his usual numbers. But the thing is with Jimmy Butler is he's doing it on both ends. He can score, but when you watch him play, my assists, my blocks, my steals, and also that leadership, that dog mentality, he's the one that brings it for Miami.
Two-way player is Jimmy Butler for sure. But I want to talk about his level of basketball in the playoffs. Kasi pag tinignan mo in the regular season, Jimmy Butler sometimes he would sit out games. You would say he was a regular season, you know, parang all-star. Regular all-star. But then in the playoffs, he's just a different type of guy. What do you see? Yung nag-iiba when it comes to the playoffs kay Jimmy Butler?
Well, he enjoys the bright lights. That's just about it. He enjoys it, that he knows all eyes are on him. He has the space to do what he does. Eric Spoelstra, his teammates know that he's going to be that guy that they can get the ball to. And, you know, he just loves playing in front of away crowds. And I think that also shows the level of Jimmy Butler. I mean, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easier to play in front of your home crowd. But to go in a hostile environment like Boston, the Garden, and then show out like that, you know, that's why he's him.
He is him. I love that. It's giving superstar energy, right? Now let's go over to the other side of things. Let's talk about the Celtics, the duo of Jason Tatum. He got 30 points. Jaylen Brown with 22. What can you say about their combined effort?
Well, we know what they can do. Definitely, we know what they can do. But down the stretch, it was very frustrating for a Boston fan. I'm not a Boston fan. I'm neither of those. But with the way you see the turnovers that they committed towards the end, and then they just didn't know who to get the ball to, who would be, you know, aggressive enough. For me, mas okay nang makita kong Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown taking a shot rather than a traveling call or a miscommunication, may turnover, ganun. So I think it also showed today that they struggle towards the end in end-game situations. I believe sinabi yun ng analyst kanina that they're 0-something when the game is decided with 4 points or less. So they definitely should change that, especially deeper in the playoffs.
Well, closing out has been a problem for Boston, and of course, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, you know, a little bit redundant when it comes to their style of play. But let's talk about the Western Conference Finals matchups.
Yes, let's talk about the Lakers now. Unfortunately, the Nuggets defeated the Lakers in Game 1, 132 to 126. Mikey, what went wrong for the Lakers?
Unfortunately for our producers and our directors.
Tuloy ba natin yung discussion na to? Ayun nyo bang
Team producers.
Pwede na natin tigil yung discussion. But, man, Nikola Jokic happened. If not for Nikola Jokic, Jimmy Butler would be the best player in the playoffs today. But with the way Nikola Jokic plays, minsan hindi mo na ma-explain eh. Minsan parang because we play basketball, of course, we put a lot of emphasis on speed because you know we play that way. But with how slow he plays and how deliberate he plays, hindi ko ma-explain minsan yung nagagawa. That shot over Anthony Davis towards the end of the end of the third quarter in front of his face. Like sometimes you just gotta tip your hat off with Nikola Jokic. But if you're a Lakers fan, that fourth quarter or the last 5 minutes, you have a lot to look forward to in Game 2.
Well, of course, the comeback, we'll talk about that in a bit, but let's talk about the superstar matchups here, talking about Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray against Anthony Davis and LeBron James, such a dynamic duo for both teams. So what can you see? Both of them for sure will be the barometer for them to win.
I don't want to say that Anthony Davis and LeBron James are less hungry, but definitely the hunger you see in Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, especially Jamal Murray, knowing na parang people have been counting him out ever since the bubble when he tore his ACL after that.
Right.
But now it's like he's on redemption mode. He's out to show that you rarely talk about Jamal Murray when you talk about the best point guards in the league. But now he's one of the few point guards that is still playing here. Palapit na tayo ng June, and if they can get over the hump of the Lakers, obviously that will be a big boost for them confidence-wise going into the finals. But parang hindi pa naman tapos yung Lakers, LeBron and AD. When they're healthy, game 1 pa lang. Yung laro ni LeBron at saka ni AD, parang palabas sila ng dugout kanina after ng game 1, parang hindi pa masyado. Wala pa yan.
Well,
so, a lot of confidence still.
There were bright spots.
Yeah, Mikey, you're talking about the late comeback of the Lakers. Unfortunately, it was not enough. But what bright spots can they take from game 1 that they can take into game 2?
Well, that adjustment with Rui. Rui was the one guarding Nikola Jokic. People are saying pagod na. People are saying it was because of Rui. So you want Anthony Davis to be roaming around in the middle, being able to block shots. Because if you put him as the primary defender of Nikola Jokic, wala nang sasalo after that. And we all know how important that is when you go up against a guy like Nikola Jokic. So the adjustments that Darvin have made towards the end could be that, hope na pangahawakan ng Lakers.
Well, I can see the smiles in our producers and our directors' faces. So,
Guys, the future looks bright. And hang in there, Mikey, because